I know we've talked about Kirby a lot this year and how he's improved the mentality and obviously just brought the overall sense of being in that team higher than we've seen in the past. I'd love for you to go 2 minutes on Mel Tucker and just what he brings to the table for this team that maybe historically Georgia has lacked under Mark Richt, because it's unfair because at Alabama, no defensive coordinator ever really got their due, which was always Kirby, or secondary coach or D-line coach got their due because Nick Saban sort of towered over that defense and that program and sort of by proxy got all the credit. Talk a little bit about Mel Tucker and what he's brought to this program, either in his experience or with the secondary or whatever, that is different than in the past.
Well, Mel Tucker realized was a multi-year pro defensive coordinator, was at one point the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you've got him coaching your secondary. And he stepped in 1 year at Alabama in 2015, took over the Alabama defense and produced one of the best defenses, I think, probably historically in the modern era at Alabama, and really turned around what had been a pretty shaky secondary, in my opinion, for the past several years. Really, from 2012 to 2014, Alabama's defense had consistently had issues with the pass. And in 2015, really accepting the Clemson game, which I think we're now beginning to appreciate just how good Deshaun Watson is, even against an NFL secondary, he really turned them around. And I think there's two things he's done for Georgia. One, they're not making stupid mistakes and giving up easy plays. Two, they're a lot more physical on the perimeter, and they're doing a much better job of playing the run and the pass and being a disruptive force throughout the ball game. And the reason I say that, early in the Auburn game last year, Auburn had a tremendous amount of success running the ball on the perimeter. They didn't have size and physicality, and the Georgia corners were getting blocked out of the play. Second half of that game, they just basically shut it down. The quarterback gets hurt. A lot of stuff goes wrong. Georgia weeks out a win, but I've still kind of looked for that weakness the rest of the season, and I think it was always kind of lingering. This year, they're just a lot more physical, and when you do that, when you have your guys in the secondary that can play sort of downhill and can impact the game by jamming receivers and by challenging things, it lets you be a lot more effective, because I think one of the most difficult things in college football is to have players that not only are in position to make a play, but actually do make a play. People talk about turning your head around. I think what's frustrating sometimes is some people love to watch the mid group of 5 teams in the high scoring games. It's not my personality. I guess I grew up watching SEC football, and it pains me to watch games where you see a corner in stride. And I remember it was a couple passes late in the Ohio State-Penn State game where the Penn State player is in phase with a receiver and they throws the ball up and the corner doesn't do anything. He doesn't put his hands in the air. He doesn't play the receiver. He doesn't turn around and play the ball. He just kind of runs with him, and the receiver catches it over his shoulder. And you go, it doesn't matter how in phase you are, how well you read the route. If you don't do anything to affect the receiver or the ball in the air, you might as well not be there, because all you did was tell the quarterback, hey, you can throw it, but there's a guy around here if he happens to turn around. And other than discouraging the pass when the pass is in the air, you didn't affect it at all. Mel Tucker does a good job of getting his players to actually play the ball, keep his eyes on the ball, make plays in the air. They get interceptions. And because they're a lot more aware of what's going on, they can do a better job of playing the defense in general. And it's important when your corners and safeties tackle guys, receiver screens or outside pitches, that they're aware of the play and they keep their eyes, keep awareness of it. I don't know quite how he's so good at it, but those little things make a really big impact on the defense.
Yeah, and I think Alabama fans, to a man, would tell you that that's the one loss that, aside from losing Kirby, which was, he was a big part of that Alabama family for so many years, losing Mel Tucker after not having him for that long and seeing how quick of an impact he made on that program, losing him really, really hurt.